my channel. My name is Heather, and it's
time for a reading with Shadow and Shine.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back with a new oracle deck to share with you guys. This deck has actually been out for the past couple of months. I released it in November of 2024, and it is now January 2025 as I'm recording this. And it is actually late January because looks are deceiving here. I know there's a Christmas tree behind me. I am still at my mom's as of right now. I'm going to be heading back to Colorado this week. I wound up extending my stay a little bit later than originally planned, simply because I had some dental work to take care of, and my dentist is still here in the Chicagoland area. I still have to find one in the Denver area. So if you know of any good dentists, let me know in the comments. Someone who's very gentle and understanding of dental anxiety, because I have a lot of that. I have a long history of dental trauma in my life. So I'm open for suggestions when it comes to dentists in the Denver area. Anyways, yeah, my trip is extended a little bit, which is why I haven't gone back home yet, but I am going to be heading back later this week because my final dental appointment is this week, and then I'll be back there. But while I'm here, I wanted to share with you guys this new deck. It is Career Connections. You may have seen it already. This is my career-themed oracle deck for all of your guidance when it comes to making money and your job, your career, your calling, your passion, all that good stuff. That's what we're going to be going through today. I always post a walkthrough for all of my oracle decks that I release because none of them come with guidebooks. And while all of my oracle decks are pretty easy and self-explanatory to understand, I always like to post these as a courtesy to you guys in case there were any questions about any of the specifics of the deck or the cards or the meanings or anything like that. Of course, once again, with this deck or any of my decks, it's open for the reader's interpretation is what it comes down to, because the way I interpret something may not necessarily be the exact interpretation of what makes sense for you when you're using it. So always keep that in mind. You know, things are open, things are flexible around here. Nothing is that rigid. But anyways, yeah, so I want to do a little walkthrough of this deck with you guys. I am going to do a collective reading as well, a collective career reading for you guys at the end of this video. So if you're interested in the career reading aspect of it only, you're like, I don't need a deck walkthrough, I don't care about that part of it, there is a timestamp down below. You can jump straight to that and get right into that right then and there if that is what your wish is, if that is what your desire is. But otherwise, we're going to dive in, and I am basically going to break down to you what this deck is all about. We're going to go through every single card, so there is no rock uncovered is what it comes down to. So anyways, yeah, this deck came out in November of 2024. Now, the reason why this is going up as late as it is because it was right around the holiday season when I released this deck, and the holidays just get busy is what it comes down to. It gets busy, it gets chaotic. I also have my holiday themed oracle deck, A Magical Christmas, and considering the holidays are really the only time I can pretty much use that deck, unless it's like a Christmas in July kind of thing during the summer. That deck rarely comes out to make an appearance. So I heavily use that deck a lot during the months of November and December. So that's why I didn't really put anything much out with this deck when it first came out, simply for that reason. But the great thing about the career deck is it is universal for all times of the year. So I was like, you know, it's okay if I put this walkthrough video out a little bit later than initially planned, because people can use career guidance at any given point in time when it comes to their lives. So that's why it is a little bit late. But yeah, we're getting into it now. So that's a good thing, obviously. So I'm gonna jump right into it here in just a minute. Before I do, one final thing, you guys, I ask you to please give this video a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot right here on the YouTube algorithm. If you enjoy my content or I wind up resonating with you as a reader, then I would ask that you go ahead and subscribe and you hit that notification bell. By doing that, you will be up to date and in the know every time there is a brand new reading or a brand new update of really any kind that you guys need to know about. So I welcome you to be a part of this Shadow and Shine family is what it comes down to. Also, drop me a comment down below. Don't be shy. Feel free to say hi. We are a welcoming group here. And, you know, let me know your thoughts on the deck too. If you wind up going through all of it, or if you jump in on the collective reading towards the end of this video, let me know your thoughts on this video too. I would love to hear from you. Also, you guys, I am open and available for private readings, and you can find career connections as well as my other oracle decks over on my website. So for a private reading or an oracle deck of your own, you can go right here to shadowandshine.com. That is your one-stop shop for everything. You can also find all of my other socials over there. So everything is there that you pretty much need to know. And in addition to that, I do have a Patreon, and I recently did like an extreme overhaul with my Patreon. So yeah, it's totally brand new, kind of started over from scratch over there. So if you're interested in joining my Patreon, head on over there, and I would love to have you be a part of that community as well. I have the same community actually on my website too, so you can choose one or the other. You don't have to do both. Yeah, so that's pretty much the updates on all of that. But let's dive in and let's get into this deck and what it's all about. So like I said, it is a career themed deck. There are 77 cards, if I remember correctly. Most of mine they're like in the 70s. But there are 77 cards in this deck. Unfortunately, all of my oracle decks, sorry about that, Tinkerbell just coughed in the background. I'm like, what is she doing? All of my deck prices, unfortunately, are probably going to be raised coming up very soon with the tariff increases. I don't know by how much, but that's just a little heads up, something to know about. It costs me a lot to make them, so I don't get a lot of money back for these decks. So when you see the high prices, just keep in mind there's a lot of production cost that goes into that. There's not a lot of profit in there for me, but I do need to make at least a small amount of profit, something there. So more to come on that as I know more, because right now I don't even know what's going to be happening with that. But I also like to try and keep my decks very high quality for you guys, so they are long lasting. So it does come in a lovely tin box, and this will keep your deck safe and sound. This deck also is made out of a linen material, and I prefer linen material over what they usually use, just because, once again, it's long lasting. It's very durable. It also feels very flexible in terms of shuffling. It makes it very easy and smooth for that. So I'm just going to get rid of the bottom card here because that's kind of irrelevant. The bottom card is just like a thank you for your business card. So, you know, it's like, whatever. Like, thank you so much. That's very nice. Anyways, here is the deck, and let's just go through the cards and see what we have. They're all pretty self-explanatory if you ask me, but we'll go through them anyways. So we have the doctor card. Obviously, if someone's going to be a doctor. Party planner. So a lot of these are going to be like career path options. Social worker. But I also feel it's important to note, if you're doing a reading for someone and let's say a career path comes up that they're not even interested in, it's not something that's on their radar whatsoever, or maybe there's like multiple career paths or something like that, I feel like something to keep in mind with this deck is it may be referencing certain qualities or aspects that you may need to take on when it comes to like that particular field. Not that you're necessarily going to be that or do that thing, but there may be like a quality or an aspect from that career that you can take into your current path at that time. Something to keep in mind of when it comes to interpretation. We have intern, apprentice. So something like that obviously wouldn't be like a long-term position. That would be something that would be seasonal in someone's life. Marine biologist. Paramedic. Military. Like I said, a lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. Detective. You know, like for example, with the detective card, this could be someone who's just very good at like uncovering solutions, uncovering answers, things like that, in whatever field they do choose. Try a new direction. So there are some cards in this deck that are like this, which are not necessarily like a career path, but it's kind of giving you a nudge in terms of career advice as to what you may need to know in that moment. Delivery worker. That could be post office, it could be DoorDash, it could be a lot of different things. Lawyer, or that could be someone who is, you know, is just simply seeking like justice or balance maybe in their career. Actor, someone who's like a performer. Invest wisely, so we have a little bit of, once again, advice, guidance there. Child care. So even if you're someone who's not taking care of children, it could be referencing that you're maybe like influencing younger people, or the work that you are doing, you're bringing home money to take home and take care of your own kids. So, you know, like I said, open to interpretation. Retail. And we have all kinds of different jobs in here. I mean, we have jobs that, you know, are like long-term careers, and then we have other things, obviously, that could be more seasonal, temporary. Struggling to pay bills. So that could be just like a season of life someone is in when it comes to their finances. A scientist. Someone who's very much into exploring and figuring things out, how things work and operate. Girl boss, entrepreneurial spirit. This was actually the first card that I created out of the deck just because I resonated with that one very personally for myself. Balancing multiple jobs. So that could be someone who maybe works for themselves, maybe they're a freelancer, maybe they have to have multiple jobs to pay the bills. It could be a lot of different things there. Astronaut, someone who is into space. Maybe they're an astronomer or something like that. A writer. That could be a writer of all different kinds, writer of novels, writer of articles, blogging, screenwriting. There's all kinds of different writers. Farming and agriculture. That's a very important job. Finance. That just reminds me of like that TikTok trend from last summer. I'm looking for a man in finance. 6'5", blue eyes. Technology. So anything in the area of tech, which is obviously very big these days. A chef. Someone involved in cooking. These could also be tapping into people's passions that they have, maybe not necessarily their careers or their jobs or things they get paid for, but could be tapping into that too. Singer, musician, independent worker. Now this could be someone who is like an independent contractor, but my intention with this card was more so to reference that this is probably going to be someone who like works really well independently and on their own. They don't necessarily have to work in like a group of people or something like that, that they thrive just kind of doing their own thing. Administration. So that could be quite literally being like someone's administrative assistant. Apparently I can't talk. Or it could be just like taking care of administrative tasks when it comes down to your own business or your own career, or whatever it is. Like everybody has taxes. That's administrative work right there, you know. Architect. So someone who is very much into designing and building things kind of from the ground up. A teacher, and this could be a teacher of all kinds. I mean, this could be a teacher for kids at a school, but it could be, you know, there's all kinds of different teachers. It could be a teacher, someone who maybe teaches some kind of like art class or dance class or all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of teachers, bottom line. It would probably make more sense with more context around the card. But yeah, we have astrologer, someone who does astrology specifically. Works well with others. Now, a couple of cards ago, we had the independent worker card. The works well with other cards is kind of like the opposite of the independent worker. So this is someone who does actually work very well with others. And, you know, maybe you're someone who is good at like leading teams, guiding people along, that you simply thrive and you do well when you're working in a group is what it comes down to. So it's kind of the flip side of the independent worker. Geologist, someone who is into investigating the earth and learning new things about it and taking care of our earth. College, return to school. So this could be someone who is simply looking into getting a higher level of education. It doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of college necessarily, but someone who is just maybe, it could be just taking like one simple course maybe for something that you want to learn. It could be a trade school, it could be a lot of different things, but it's definitely stepping up in terms of education, in terms of furthering along your career. Content creator. So once again, this was another one that I kind of relate to because that's literally what I'm sitting here doing right now. You know, content creator is just that. They're someone who creates content online. This could be in terms of video content, like what I'm doing right now. It could be in terms of creating pictures and images. It could be blogging. It can be a lot of different things. Content is content, and it can be in all kinds of different subjects as well. Obviously, me sitting here in my little corner of the internet, I like to sit here and do readings with you guys and talk about metaphysical stuff and all the fun spiritual woo-woo kind of things, and also just kind of like inspiring and uplifting things in general. But there's all kinds of ways to create content. It doesn't have to be just that. We have side hustling. So, you know, there's a lot of different things you can do to side hustle. Like on this card, let's see, we've got like the delivery worker, we've got dog walking, we've got like an Uber, Lyft driver. So we got all kinds of different possibilities here when it comes to a side hustle. And a side hustle is just that. It may not necessarily be like your full-time regular gig. It may be something that you take on, just as I said, on the side, where it's like you just want to make maybe like an extra $100, $200 a week doing something. So it's like you know, maybe you drive for Lyft like a couple of days a week or something like that. But it's definitely someone who does like the side hustle gig. Human resources. So definitely into the world of hiring and firing, I guess. Could be paired up probably what that works well with other cards. Politics, definitely one of the more controversial careers as of late, but yeah, politics is in there. I mean, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the president, obviously. You know, just starting locally right where you're at. That's kind of where it all begins. Sales, and that could be sales in any kind of field, anywhere. It could be in big corporate America. It could be for a small business. This can look like a lot of different things. Once again, context would probably make a lot of sense if there were other cards around that one specifically, but sales is sales. Graphic design, so this is someone who probably lives a little bit further beyond the world of Canva. I definitely love Canva. I'm always in Canva. But you know, this is probably someone who takes advantage of Photoshop and Adobe and all that good stuff. Photographer, so someone who, you know, is way beyond just taking pictures on their iPhone is what it comes down to. So you know, someone who's really good at taking pictures and making them beautiful and making them look like a piece of art is what it comes down to. This one's a little bit of advice when it comes down to just doing business in general. Spend a little to make a lot, and that's true. In any kind of industry, you have to spend money to make money. You kind of have to put a little bit of an investment in. It doesn't have to be a huge investment, but it generally does come with some kind of investment. Even if it's not in the term, even if it's not in the frame of money, putting in the time, putting in the effort, all of those things are an investment. Work from home. So this is definitely for the person who would thrive working from home, whether it's for a company or for yourself, but definitely someone who works from home. Seasonal work, this card of course features Santa because that is as seasonal as it gets, but it doesn't have to be just related to Christmas time. You know, it could be seasonal like a summer job. Seasonal is seasonal. It's temporary is what it comes down to. Keep going, keep growing. So this is kind of like a little card of encouragement to just remind the person at hand who's getting the reading to keep going, that they're on the right track, to not quit, to not give up at what they're doing when it comes to their career. Therapist, someone who would be very good at helping other people, you know, merge and blend that heart and that brain together and help them work together. A florist, or just simply someone who loves flowers and plants and probably has a way of working their magic with them. Marketing. So marketing and sales may kind of go hand in hand. They may kind of work together, but definitely this would be someone who would be very good at designing campaigns to get things out there and to get them noticed and to get people engaged and interested and buying is what it comes down to. It's a good way of like packaging it. It's kind of like sales is like actually pushing it out there, and marketing is figuring out the package of how that's all going to be presented. You know, who's your target market? You know, who's your audience? Who is that? Creating that avatar, it's like that kind of thing. Dog trainer, walker, groomer, sitter. So this is anyone I would say who would work in some field where it's for the benefit of animals, where it's caretaking for animals. You know, it could be someone who works at a shelter, someone who maybe works at a vet's office. They may not be the vet, but maybe they're a vet tech, or they could even just be a receptionist at the vet office. So anyone kind of working in like the animal care industry. Speaking of animal care industry, take it a level higher, maybe straight up veterinarian here. So this could be quite literally being a vet, working at a vet's office. Athlete. We have all kinds of different sports here on this card, everything from basketball to baseball to tennis to skiing to the Olympics. So many different things on this card. So this is open for all different sports. It could be summer sports, winter sports, and everything in between, but definitely someone who is athletic and very quick on their feet, I guess you could say. freelancer, independent contractor. So that's pretty self-explanatory. It could be someone who works from home. Doesn't necessarily have to be though, but definitely someone who kind of does their own thing. They don't necessarily have to answer to anyone specifically other than their client at hand. An electrician. That's a very important job, definitely. They also get paid well. 9-to-5er, societal norms. So, you know, a 9-to-5er, that could be a whole bunch of different jobs. It could be a office, corporate job. It could be like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a telemarketer job, like a service industry job. That's what I'm thinking of. It could be retail. It could be any of those kinds of things, but definitely falling in the category of societal norms, kind of just like what society expects people to do, what people expect like a regular job in a sense to look like. Like, for example, when TikTok went dark, a whole bunch of people who don't do any content creation, who don't do anything with social media other than just like comment or lurk. A lot of those people are basically like, oh yay, now these people can get real jobs. Well, there's a lot more work that goes into doing this stuff than any 9-to-5 job. Like 9-to-5, you leave at 5. Content creation, it's like you're on all the time doing things. So I definitely feel like it's not really a subject people can speak on unless they've actually gone that route and done that route themselves, which many have not. Typically those who stick to societal norms don't do those things. But anyways, when it comes to that, it could be referencing one of those very basic general jobs, or it could just be referencing someone who is maybe stuck in the mindset of societal norms, and maybe they're trying to like launch their business or their brand or start a creative project or something like that, and maybe they're struggling because they are stuck in the mindset of societal norms. So that could be a lot of different things with that. An accountant, so once again, this is very much so dealing with money, dealing with finances, dealing with balancing things, dealing with tax season, all that kind of stuff. Switch career paths. So when this card pops up, it could be an indication to the person that you are reading for that it's time for them to take a new direction. That maybe what they're doing is not necessarily working out. Apply for jobs. Now, this could be like a regular, safe, secure kind of a job. It could be a freelancing kind of job. It could be like a temporary kind of gig. It could be a lot of different jobs. So once again, this is open for interpretation depending on who the client is, who you're reading for, what the question is, what type of work they're interested in. But this is definitely an indication that if there's something that they want to go for, they should go for it. You know, you're not going to know unless you apply. If you don't apply, then that's an automatic no. Interior design. So, you know, this is for the people who aspire to be on HGTV and have their own TV show where they are designing and they are making over someone's home. You know, aside from like the architect position, obviously, but this is someone who is taking care of the color schemes and, you know, figuring out what kind of windows would look great. And, you know, is it going to be an open space? Is it going to be a closed space? What kind of furniture is going to go in there? What kind of lighting is going to be in there? All that good stuff. Then we have the mechanic. Also, very, very important. The mechanic fixing cars. It's very cold right now with this Arctic blast, and it's so weird because like when I lock my car right now, it's locked, but there's typically a light that indicates that it's locked and it's not showing that light. So I'm hoping when we get out of this Arctic blast, it'll go back to normal. If not, I'll have to take it to the dealership and get that quickly fixed before I go back to Colorado. But yeah, obviously a mechanic is important because I'm personally gonna need help with that. So those people are important to have. Construction. So, you know, this could be the person who's working with that interior designer and working with that architect, you know. These are the people who are actually laying down the foundation, building the house, the building, whatever it is. And if this is not quite literal construction, it could be talking about constructing your own business. It could be about doing the foundational legwork that needs to be done for some kind of project that you're working on. So again, take that where it resonates. Depends on what's coming through in that reading, what the other cards are. We have the artist card. So, you know, once again, that could be art in a lot of different ways. It could be art with music, with paint, with sculpting, like art, beauty, it's in the eyes of the beholder. There's a lot of different ways art can come across in this world, but someone who's definitely an artist, someone who's definitely highly creative. TV, movie, radio production. So this could be anything when it comes to that world, but kind of like behind the scenes, not like the person who's in front of the camera or the person who's on air, but this is someone who definitely helps behind the scenes in any of those areas is what it comes down to, because it takes a village. It takes a village, you know. Life coach. So different from the therapist, but kind of like in the same genre, the same little nook and cranny as them. You know, the therapist is someone more so who has, you know, gone to school, they've gotten the credentials and the education with that. The life coach is someone who maybe didn't necessarily go to school for it or anything, but someone who has kind of been through the school of hard knocks and definitely has a way of coaching and helping others with their lives. Resignation, put in your 2 weeks. So this is indicating it's time to move on. It's time to quit, whether that's an actual job, it could be a project, it could, whatever it is. It's something that you could be working on where it's like, hey, you know, it's time to take a step back. It's time to move on. It's time to do something else. Psychic. Now, we already had the astrologer card that came through. This one's the psychic card. There is a difference. Now, I know most people are going to be like, well, what's the difference between a psychic and a astrologer? They're the same thing. There is a difference. I'm going to tell you what the difference is. Number one, an astrologer, it's much more mathematic. You have to look at a birth chart. You have to look at the transits. You have to understand what all the different symbolism means. You have to look at the degrees. It's a whole thing. It's actually much more cerebral and much more logical than it is necessarily intuitive. Astrology is actually a field of study. So just like, you know, with anything else, like if you think about it, astrology, biology, psychology, anything ending with ology, it is a study of something. So that's astrology. As for being a psychic, it's different from that. It's much more loosey-goosey, I guess you could say. It's definitely dealing with intuition. That this is kind of where mediumship comes into play. It could be someone who is reading tarot or oracle cards, like what I'm sitting here doing. Like me personally, I do not consider myself a professional astrologer. I am knowledgeable on the topic of astrology, yes. I know more probably than the average Joe does. I know just enough to be dangerous. But would I say I'm a professional astrologer? No, I am not going to sit here and claim that and claim to be something that I am not. Definitely not. I know people who are professional astrologers, and I feel like it would be insulting for me to sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm just as qualified as you, when I have not done anywhere near the kind of legwork and have anywhere near the kind of knowledge upstairs about it as they do. However, the psychic thing, everyone has this ability. Everybody has that psychic muscle. It just depends on how much you have exercised it, how often you tap into that intuition, how often you tap into that spiritual ability, which that I do quite frequently. So that this would be more so my category between the two. because I have my Oracle decks, and obviously I read the cards, and sometimes I just come on here and I just like speak my piece here, just based upon what Spirit is telling me, just based upon whatever the message is that needs to come through. That's all psychic stuff. That's not an astrology thing. So that's the difference between the two. Now, some people, maybe they're going to merge those two together and do both, and that's totally cool. But there is definitely a difference between the two. They are not the same thing. They're under the same umbrella of metaphysics and spirituality and the woo-woo kind of thing, but they are two different things under that umbrella. All right, we also have the hairstylist. So someone who is into doing hair, cutting it, dyeing it, making it look gorgeous and beautiful. That's another thing I need in the Denver area. So if anyone knows a good hairstylist, once again, drop it in the comments. Real estate. So this could be the person working with the, what was that job? The interior designer. This could be someone who's working with that interior designer, once again, like Love It or List It or something like that, like HGTV, but someone who is busy out there selling homes to people and hopefully making a profit. The makeup artist. So we had the hairstylist, we got the makeup artist. You know, once the hair is done, we got to get the makeup done. We got to get the face right. We got to get that eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, lips. We got to get it all done right. The fashion designer. All right, the hair is done. The makeup is done. We got to get the outfit right though. So, you know, this is for the person who is making clothes, making beautiful outfits. Even if you're not like a fashion designer yourself, it could just be indicating that maybe you work in a career that is somehow involved in the fashion industry. You know, maybe you're like a buyer or something like that at like a designer or something. You could be like a personal shopper or something for someone who needs clothes. So all kinds of things like that. We have a dancer. The dancer and the singer and the musician could all kind of go hand in hand. Joint venture. So when this card comes through, it's definitely referencing collaboration. It's referencing teamwork. So, you know, whether that's you and like another business, the two of you getting together and collaborating, it could be you and another person collaborating together. It could be you getting like financial help. It could be, it could be a lot of different things, but definitely it's like two forces coming together to work together for whatever your career path is in that situation. Another lovely piece of advice for career guidance: don't underestimate yourself. So this is for the person who may be lacking confidence, who may not feel that they have the abilities that they truly do, or the talent or the knowledge to do what they need to do. So when that card comes through, it's a nice little reminder that they really do know what they're doing, that they are qualified, that they can do the job. Social media manager. So this is someone who's definitely running all the socials. They're commenting, they're liking other people's stuff. It kind of goes hand in hand with like the content creator kind of thing. So they're managing all that social media. Ah, yes. The one I will be seeing later this week. The dentist. Pretty self-explanatory there. Someone who is taking care of the teeth and the gums and keeping your mouth all nice and healthy. Hospitality. So we have a hotel there. Hospitality is obviously someone who probably works in like the travel sector somehow. They may work at a hotel. They may work at like the front desk or something like that. A pilot. So once again, travel related. And finally, our last card, the popo, the police, law enforcement. So that is every single card from Career Connections, all the different career possibilities and all the different like little advice and that kind of thing that may pop up along with it. So with all that said and done, let's get started here with our collective reading right at the 40-minute mark. How perfect is that? So yeah, let's get into our collective reading now, and we're just going to get a collective read for what you guys need to know the most right now when it comes down to your career. What kind of career guidance do you need to know at this time? So let's find out. So we have the lawyer card coming through. So maybe you're interested in becoming a lawyer. We'll see. We're going to pull a few more cards. Let's see what else is going on. So something else just flipped out immediately. Okay. Struggling to pay bills. Interesting. Struggling to pay bills. So, like most people, because I feel like you're not alone right now, like most people, you may be struggling to pay your bills. It's not that you're not working hard. It's not that you're not budgeting well. It's not that you're not doing your part, because I feel like you are, but it's just the reality of the world that we live in right now. Inflation is high. Unfortunately, we kind of live in this society right now that's much more of an oligarchy than it is anything else, where it's, not to get political here on you guys, but it's not really the right versus the left. It's really the up versus the down. It's the 1% versus the 99%. And they keep us distracted with this whole right versus left thing. Because let's be real, the right and left, they belong to the same bird, and that bird is corrupt as all hell. So that's just the reality of it. So more than likely, if you're watching this, you're probably part of that 99%. We're all in the struggle bus here together, is what it comes down to. So you may be seeking for some justice in that, but I'm going to pull a few more cards. There's a few different possibilities in my mind as to what that lawyer card could mean in conjunction to struggling to pay your bills. But I definitely feel like when it comes to finances, you're probably hurting right now. I'm going to get a little bit more context, though, especially so we can find out more about that lawyer card. Because there's a few different... Okay, one just fell all the way down to the floor. Hold on, I gotta get... Okay, all right. So we have college, returning to school coming through. Okay, so a couple things are coming to mind here as the story is unfolding. So, as always, if the message doesn't flow, let it go. If this message does not apply, let it fly. Take the parts that make sense for you, but leave the parts that don't, because as always, this is open to the general public. It's for the collective. For some people, this is going to make sense. Other people, it won't. So for some of you, I feel like one of the reasons you're struggling to pay bills is college debt. Tuition, college tuition debt, which is not uncommon. There are so many people who have so much debt that they have carried over from college. So I feel like for some of you, you have a lot of debt connected to your education, and it's expensive to go to school to work in the law profession. So if you are a lawyer or somewhere like in that area, in that realm, when it comes to legal and professional help in those terms, you could be suffering yourself right now, because school for this kind of work is not cheap. Even if you're not going to like Harvard or Yale or whatever it is, even if you're just going to like basic Betty College, USA, it's still going to be crazy expensive. So I definitely feel like that could be one thing that's going on. The other issue I feel like could be a possibility. It could be one of these two things. I'm still going to pull a few more cards for even more context to tie this all in together. The other possibility I'm seeing is you may be, once again, struggling to pay bills. I feel like that's at the core of this here. And you want to return to school to make your financial situation better. you feel like you could probably get a better job or get into the career field that you truly want to get into, something along those lines. You may want to return to school, but there are legal problems that you're currently facing at this time, which is once again why we're struggling to pay bills. That there could be some kind of legal issue. It could be the fact that maybe you just recently went through a divorce or something like that, and therefore there's discrepancies when it comes to finances. But let me get a little bit more context here. I'm seeing like a couple of different paths here as to what's going on. So I could be tapping into two different people's stories is what it comes down to. But if this is your story, I would love to know. Okay, so we have paramedic. Now, I don't feel like this is necessarily in regards to the career itself. I do feel like that this is once again in regards to the struggling to pay bills. I feel like there may have been, that actually makes so much sense. Okay, so I feel like for the person who is having legal issues, I feel like you may have been involved. Now I feel like one of these cheesy commercials. You may have been involved in a car wreck, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like quite literally, this is an example of one of these commercials that you see in the middle of the day where it's like, if you were involved and had a serious injury in a car wreck or whatever the injury may be, call us at 1-800 blah, 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 law firm, we're going to help you. So I feel like in a weird way, there was some kind of accident that you were involved in, and it's obviously set you back when it's come to money in terms of medical expenses and that kind of thing. And your law team, this is what the legal issue is. The legal issue is your legal team is working on things to get you your money. And I feel like one of the things that you may do with that money is return to school, because that was probably already on deck, that you wanted to further your education, that you want to make your life better is what it comes down to. So that's definitely story number one. Story number two, I feel like still is connected to the fact that you may be struggling to pay bills because of college debt, to get into the law profession. Now, as for the paramedic card with the other storyline, I feel like that is basically kind of saying that like your finances need a paramedic. If anything, your finances are in need of like serious resuscitation here is what it comes down to, that you're really feeling it. You're really feeling the burn. Let me see if I can get anything else career-wise. Ooh, astrologer. Okay, so for either path, whether it's path number one, which is the person who was in the accident and is waiting for their legal team to kind of clear things up and clear a new path for them, or if it's number two, group number two, which is the person who whose bills are struggling in terms of like needing the paramedic to revive them because they're just under so much student loan debt and that kind of thing. I feel like in either scenario, either case, even if it's not either of those stories, I feel like you guys need to consult an astrologer, because here's the thing. If you consult an astrologer, not just a psychic, but if you consult an astrologer, they can bring up your birth chart and they can check your transits, and they can kind of give you a heads up based on those transits as to what may be coming up for you. They may be able to kind of give you some insight timing wise as to when may be a good time to, for example, return to school, or when it may be a good time for your legal team to take action. or any of those kinds of things. They just may be able to give you some insight and perspective when it comes to that. So I don't feel like this is saying like, oh, become an astrologer. I feel like it's saying consult an astrologer, that they may be able to give you a little bit of a heads up on how to handle the upcoming energy when it comes to that, because it could be very turbulent. And my light totally just went out. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I mean, I still have this lamp over here, so I'm not like in the dark or anything, but it may look a little bit darker all of a sudden. I'm not going to replace it right now because I've been talking for 50 minutes straight as it is. I'm only going to pull maybe a card or two more when it comes to this reading. Anyways, child care, you could be, once again, I don't feel like this is indicating that you're going into child care or you're doing anything for a career related to children, but I do feel like one of the reasons why you are struggling to pay bills and that this is so incredibly difficult right now is you're probably a single parent. You're probably someone who has kids at home that you're taking care of. Not that that's your job, but I feel like there's probably a child in your life that you are responsible for. We also have makeup artist. So you may be someone who's really good and really talented at makeup. I feel like we're kind of tapping into like a little side passion here. So if you are talented at doing makeup, this could be Spirit's way of maybe nudging you to like, I'm not going to say like go to beauty school or something like that, but it could be kind of nudging you maybe to maybe take on some gigs doing makeup on the side, in a sense, to kind of help with the finances. Like, let yourself be hired out to do makeup for somebody's like wedding or prom or, you know, any of those kinds of things, any kind of special event. So maybe kind of like make yourself available for that, because it's not something you would have to commit to as like a full-time job or anything like that. But it may be helpful, just kind of like on the side, like do it every once in a while on a weekend. It'll help you put gas in your tank or get groceries, whatever it is that you need to do. Maybe even make a few videos online, doing makeup tutorials or something. You never know. It may take off and it may be a thing. So that makeup card is there for a reason. So these are definitely a few little tips and suggestions. So let's get one final card. We're at 52 minutes here in, almost 53. Let's get one final card to kind of tie this career reading all up here for you guys. And we have a delivery worker, which I feel like is another odd and end kind of job that Spirit is kind of giving you here as like a little tip. Like, hey, if you're struggling once again with money, this could be something you could do on the side. You know, maybe you need to take on, what is it? There's Amazon Flex, for example. That's a delivery job, but it's not like a full-time thing. It's something that you can like do at your own leisure, I guess. There's all kinds of food delivery, obviously. There's DoorDash, there's Grubhub, there's Postmates. There's so many different things with food delivery, but it could be indicating this for you when it comes to extra money. So as a whole, to kind of recap on this career reading, once again, I feel like it's one of two paths here for the majority. If it's a different path, then you'll have to let me know in the comments. But I feel like this reading is probably for one of two different paths here. Either number one, you are the person who had an accident and you have a legal team by your side who is helping you because you're really struggling right now to pay your bills from the medical debt that you incurred, and you obviously don't want to stay in that position because there's some part of you that wants to return to school, that wants to have some kind of higher education here to further along your job, further along your career, you know, just simply elevate you to the next level. or you're the person who is struggling to pay their bills because you have an insurmountable amount of student debt loan kind of stuff going on, and therefore you're struggling to pay bills is like paramedic level, like it needs 911 level of help, and you are looking into the legal options there when it comes to straightening that whole entire mess out. And once again, for both routes or any route, check in with an astrologer. They can definitely help you navigate the upcoming energies, the transits ahead for you, on how to make the best out of those situations. Like this definitely taps into that energy, but they can look at the planets specifically and the different energies happening that they can help you out with that. Once again, childcare, I feel like most likely you are a parent, a single parent, something like that. There's some child in your life. There's some child in your life that you are most likely responsible here for, which is another reason why this is just like so incredibly important for you to get this figured out and to get this taken care of. And there are two different options, two different possibilities here for making a little bit of side cash, a little bit of side income, doing people's makeup, or doing like makeup tutorials, makeup videos, that kind of thing, or doing deliveries on the side, which may kind of help give you a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of a comfort in the meantime while you're waiting for the dust to settle. So that's what I have for you guys for your little mini career reading for the collective. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I also hope that you enjoyed checking out Career Connections. And like I said, if you are interested in this deck, you can find it over on my website, shadowandshine.com. And it's also available on Etsy as well. So, I mean, there is that as an option too. But yeah, so I'm really excited that I was able to share this with you guys. And, you know, you don't have to be a professional reader to buy this deck. Even if you just do readings for yourself, if you're just a beginner, if you just want to do that for your friends, that's totally cool too. If you do readings for a living, you may want to add this to your collection. But either way, I hope you guys definitely enjoy it. So anyways, before I wrap up this video, you guys, once again, I just would ask that you give this video a big thumbs up, because like I said at the start of this video, that really helps me out a lot right here on the good old-fashioned YouTube algorithm. And if you enjoy my content, if I resonate with you as a reader, if you want to come back and hang out here anytime, then feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because that way then you will be up to date and in the know every time a brand new reading is posted. So yeah, super duper exciting. I just got totally distracted in my brain, sorry. Like, ADHD moments there. I was like, oh wait, random thought. I'm just gonna have a quick sip of coffee. I have been just like blah, 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 like rambling on and on and on. I need a quick drink. Ooh. Oh. Okay, that's better. So yeah, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like I said. Drop me a comment down below. Don't be shy. Feel free to say hi. I would love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on the deck, or your thoughts on the reading, or just how your day was. You know, whatever's going on. I would love to talk with you and hang out with you, because bottom line is I want this space to be a kind, inclusive, warm-hearted community is what it comes down to. I want to connect with you guys. And of course, one of the best ways that you can connect with me outside of here is over on my Patreon. So yeah, my Patreon is available. Like I said, I completely rehauled that. So you can check out my Patreon. But truly, your one-stop shop for everything is right here at shadowandshine.com. You can get your own personal reading there, as well as, this deck here, Career Connections, as well as a whole bunch of other different decks that I have. So yeah, shadowandshine.com, your one-stop shop for all that stuff. You will also find links to all of my other socials there and so on and so forth. So I hope you'll stop by. Don't be a stranger, obviously. So that's pretty much it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out here with me for a little bit today. I definitely appreciate you. It warms my heart, and right now is a good time for like a nice warm heart as it is, because it is so cold outside. So if you are in a cold part of the country or the world, I hope you are staying warm as well. If you're in California, if you're in LA, I'm sending my love to you right now, because I know how it is with those wildfires. I lived there for 15 years. So, I mean, I never saw it to the degree that it is right now, obviously, but I do remember them, and they were definitely scary. And I still have a lot of friends, a lot of people who are there. So I'm thinking of you guys too. So definitely stay safe and stay well wherever you are in the world. So like I said, thanks for hanging out. I'm sending you guys lots of hugs and much love. Keep sparkling.